All right, let's get this party started. Are you ready, ladies?
Ready.
Okay, so our topic today is business planning. Yeah, leave a remark in the comments if you've written your business plan yet. Just say yes or no. Yes, you've written it. No, you haven't. Because we're here today to actually talk about how these four powerhouses have refocused
Nice.
when the business plans of the past have gone out the window and what they actually learned during the last 12 months and how that is propelling them forward in 2021 and beyond. Because we know that there is still uncertainty in the air in many of the cities across our country. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping focused on the positives, that we are focusing and flourishing in our businesses. And so we're going to cover three key areas today inside of the business plan: innovation, time management, and diversification. These are very saucy words. So I am going to turn it over. Christine is going to introduce Kate and Melissa and Cherika. For those of you who have been to any of our events in the past, you have seen this shining leader, Christine George. She is the head of marketing and agent development for Leading Edge Real Estate out in Boston. And she has, did I do that right?
You have to do
Boston.
it.
Maybe a little Jersey, not necessarily Boston. Anyways, Christine has walked alongside us in this community for years. And when we knocked on her door and said, "Oh, sister, are you interested?" she gave a, you know what? Yes. So she is here today. I'm going to turn it over to you, ladies. I will see you in about 40 minutes or so to ask all of the questions that everyone is adding in the chat. So yes, if you've got questions, make sure you add them in the comments. If you are watching the replay, feel free to do the same. We will watch those comments and all of us will make sure that we get back to you. So without further ado, ta-da! Go for it, ladies.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Deborah. Oh my God, super
Bye.
excited to be with these ladies. We had a great prep call last week, and I just want to say I hope this one is as funny and energized as that one because we certainly laughed a lot. I want to introduce these ladies and give them, their proper introduction. So the first lady I want to introduce is Kate Reisinger. She is the Executive Vice President of Member Services at Leading Real Estate Companies of the World. She is new to the Women Up community. So please, can we give a little welcome to Kate? She is also a mom and a mother of twin girls, little girls. And she's just an incredible professional. I've only known her for a short time, but she's an incredible professional, super smart, and she's got a lot to share today. So welcome, Kate. Next to Kate, I have Cherika Johnson. Cherika is the broker owner of Johnson Realty in Longview, Texas. And Cherika is a part of the Women Up community for a couple of years now, I believe, as well. And then I also see Melissa Sofia. She was on the panel that I was also on in San Diego a couple years ago. And so this is a reunite. We're reuniting here today. Melissa, oh my God, is an amazing woman. I mean, wait till you hear her talk today. She is the mom of four. She's married. She's the broker owner of a 21 agent brokerage in San Diego called the Avenue Home Collection. And she's also the founder of the Mompreneur Meetup. So, oh my God, welcome, ladies. It's the
Hi. So glad to be here. It's an honor to be here with you, Christine.
Oh my God, it's an honor for me to be here with you guys. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with Kate. Well, actually, let me just give some context. So, Deborah talked about, obviously last year, all of our plans, they went completely out the window. We had to kind of, do things as we went last year. We had to completely pivot. We had to completely innovate. We had to keep our teams motivated, right? Because we're all leaders of teams in our organizations. And I think we learned a ton. We learned about how to operate more efficiently. We learned about how to be better, more empathetic leaders. We learned how to connect more intimately with our clients. And I think those are just some of the things, some of the meat that you guys are going to be talking about today. What are the things that we learned, and how are we going to be actually able to refocus those things and put those things in our plan for 2021 and beyond? So I'm going to start with you, Kate.
Okay.
So COVID really, it caused all this uncertainty. I know at Leading RE, you had to make a number of shifts, both internally from a staff perspective and externally from a client perspective. Can you talk about the things that you did, the shifts that you made, and the things that you did to continue to thrive?
Yes, certainly. And I just want to thank everyone for allowing me to be here today. This group is an incredible group of women leaders. I went to my first Woman Up in San Diego, and I walked away on just a high for months. So it's an honor to be here today. As everybody experienced last year, COVID was a wake-up call in a lot of ways to reevaluate how we were doing our business. Was it efficient? Could we survive in remote locations with very little at our disposal? And I think what it taught us at Leading RE was we could do a lot more than we thought we could do, we had ever imagined. It really pushed us to perform. So one of the main things, that we do is we're a network of meeting in person at fancy parties and having great speakers and delivering great content in, great warm locations. Well, with COVID, we couldn't do that, and the other thing is a lot of our agents around the country couldn't even show homes. So how were we supposed to keep operating in the real estate industry? And so one thing we decided to do was during those initial months of lockdown, we said we need to start creating and delivering powerful, valuable content to our membership immediately. And it can't be on the same schedule that we were always so used to. We do maybe 8 webinars a quarter. We knew we had to do 4 to 5 a week, if not 2 to 3 a day on some weeks, depending on what was taking place in the world. And so our team at Leading RE really came together. We created over 100 webinars that we hosted over a 2.5-month span. And the other thing we wanted to take into account was this isn't just a time to talk about business. This is a time to talk about mental well-being. It's a time to talk about inspiration. So the topics really ran the gamut. We had everything from mental wellness, like I've said, to motivation, to how do you use social media to virtually show homes now? Because if you can't get out there and show that home, how are you going to use, TikTok or Instagram to really perform and still make ends meet, right? So that was a big change for us, and it's actually changed the way we really view our education offering now. So that was a big one. And then the other one was, our team, this is super ironic. When we went to our conference in Las Vegas last March, it was March 9th through the 13th, there were a few COVID cases in the country. We had no idea that March 16th, the world would just shut down. But March 16th was our go live date from our work remote policy that we were putting in place. So ironically, our whole staff had computers and was ready to go on March 16th from home. But what COVID was a catalyst for once we were at home was greater communication within our company. I think, you can sit in an office and take for granted that people are 5 feet away from you or you tap them on the shoulder. But when you're all over the country and you're in your homes, it's about, we need to connect more frequently. We need to ensure that we're really speaking the same language to get our projects done. But the thing I think that was the most beautiful silver lining of that time, and that's carried through, I believe, with my team, is we learned that you could be a human being in the corporate arena, because we were now faced with problems that we were all facing. We're worried about our elderly family members. We're homeschooling children virtually. We're also trying to manage our work and do a great job for our companies. So
Yeah.
in that greater communication with the staff, we were able to say, how are you feeling today? Are you having an okay day? What's worrying you today? You
Yeah.
know, and then it was lifting each other up and powering through. So I think those were two of the biggest things that COVID kind of was a catalyst for.
I love that because I wrote that quote down. COVID allowed us to be human in the corporate sector. And I think as women, obviously we've been trying to do that for so long and so long. And it isn't, how funny, it isn't until everybody is dealing with the exact same thing, then all of a sudden, as leaders, we felt we were able to finally care for each other in that way. You know, I think it's tough. Everybody's going through something on any given day. And certainly COVID didn't stop life from happening. And yet, because we were all suffering the same pandemic, we were somehow able to look each other in the eye and connect on a level that allowed us to have empathy for each other and to change the way we do business as a result of that. So that is a huge, huge win, I think. And I love how you guys just amped up. I think you told me the last time we talked, you had education on steroids. Yeah. I mean, you really connected on a high level to your clients, which I would assume when you looked at your plan for this year, while things are more positive, there's still some uncertainty. You're going to continue to do that. Is that in your plan moving forward?
100%. Yes. I mean, A lot of what we learned last year, we are carrying through now as part of who we are at our core. And the education and training component really engaged so many more agents. I mean, we have 130,000 odd agents globally. We got the most engagement we've ever had through these virtual platforms. And so we're going to keep them. It's given birth to even new ideas, virtual boot camps for sales managers and diversity classes that we're doing. So all virtually. The other thing that also carried through last year was we had to do all of the events we typically do in person. We took those into a virtual arena, and we will continue to integrate virtual elements even when the world reopens, because you can capture a greater audience when you're virtual. So we'll make a nice balance, I think, with our in-person and our virtual. But yeah, tremendous learning opportunities that have proven very successful.
That's awesome. Thank you. The other question I wanted to ask you, I know Leading RE has, outside of the pandemic, experienced significant growth over the last couple of years. And so even, absent of the pandemic, you guys have had to do a little bit of innovating to be able to accommodate that growth and to be able to continue to grow. Can you talk a little bit about, the things that you've done to shift to be able to accommodate your growth?
Certainly. Yeah. So, Leading RE, just so everyone kind of knows out there, we're an independent broker network that has over 550 companies in 76 countries. And in the United States, we are really quite saturated. I mean, in most major markets, we have the best independent company in that market. We have adequate coverage in terms of footprint, et cetera. But we've experienced growth because even given that, we've realized we have areas in the country that, we might say, well, we've never thought about getting a broker maybe in a certain part of Montana, but then when we look at our referral numbers, we see, wait a second, we have quite a bit of referral flow into that market and we don't have a member there. So we've actually started to take a very proactive approach to looking at the US and targeting these open markets, if you will. Within that, we've also looked at our value proposition. We were founded as a referral network, but the reality is Leading RE is so much more than that. Now we're a real educational pillar, to our members. We do our events for networking and bringing people together to share best practices. And so in our prospecting approach now, we cater to that prospect and say, what are really your needs? because it might not be the referral component that is the core of who we are. You can use that, that's going to supplement other things, but how can we best serve you? And so I think we've really, kind of transitioned on our value proposition approach to these members as well. And then the other area I think that we've really seen some significant growth is that consolidation is a reality right now within the real estate market, and it's been a reality for the past few years. And so we never want to lose members. We love all of our members, but brokers and companies do make decisions that are in the best interest for their company. And so if they decide that they need to make an affiliation, or they want to get acquired, we don't like to lose them. But what that's done for us is that's actually opened more opportunity in some of those markets where we're able to go out and we're able to talk to some of the startup brokerages that are new on the scene, that are doing things a little bit differently, and bring them into the fold. One market in particular, we actually had a member who was acquired, and we've been able to bring in 5 new members just for that footprint. So that served as a real opportunity for us too, to look at that as a positive. Other people might say, oh, you're losing members. No, they're doing what's right for them. And it gives us now an opportunity to look at some other companies. And then finally, the other thing we're doing is we are in some of the areas that are dark, we're saying, could we put people into kind of like an incubator program, if you will? So we're kind of looking at that too. So we're really looking at our model and trying to tweak it to be progressive.
I love that. And you're really kind of taking a look at what's happening in the industry, and you're making adjustments based on that. You're not, I think what's so important now and moving forward is our ability to be flexible and to innovate, because if you don't, we're just not going to thrive. And I love how you said you were always an education and training company, but you had this like gold mine of value that you weren't positioning. And all of a sudden you realized, wow, we have this amazing thing that if we just position it correctly, we can really add some great value to our membership. And look what it's done for you. It's given you education on steroids.
It has. And the best ideas come from our members. They say, we really want to be learning about X, Y, and Z, or this is really at the heart of what we're doing right now. So we owe that all to them, to be able to bring that to them. It's been a lot of opportunities. And so for that, I'm super grateful.
Yeah. And I love, we're just in this industry. And I think, I know for myself, whenever I just love that we can be of service to other people, whether it's our agents or our clients, or in your case, your members, that's really what it's all about. Because the more that you can be in service to them, the more successful you're going to be, and the more fulfilled I think you're going to be as a leader as well. So thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Christine.
Okay, I'm gonna move over to my friend Melissa.
Hi.
Oh my God, I just love you. So I want to talk about time management with you, Melissa, because as I said in the beginning, you are managing I can't even keep straight. Your 4 kids, your household, your brokerage, your mompreneur meetup, and then of course, you have friends and family that you have responsibility for as well in terms of maintaining those relationships. So can you just kind of guide us through how you stay focused? Because you could just be distracted all the time.
Sure, absolutely. I do. I manage a lot, and I have done a really deep dive over the past few years. As you guys know, if you were at the Women Up conference, I lost my mom when I was 21. She was my business partner. She was my mentor. She was my best friend. And in the loss of her at such a young age, with so many things on my plate, I was the caretaker for my brother. I took over her business. At 21, I really had to center in and figure out who I was, who I wanted to be, and how I wanted my life to look, and how I could possibly achieve all of the things that I wanted in all of those areas and be happy. Because, I saw that she had achieved so many things, but did she get to be fulfilled in all the ways that she wanted? Probably not. And I wanted more for myself. I wanted more for my family. So that changed the way that I looked at my life at an early age. And I looked at all of the areas that were important to me. And I realized I need to find a way to chase the balance, because we were talking about balance is not real. Balance is not
Actually, I think you said I don't believe in balance the other day, and my head almost split open.
Right, because and obviously, yes, balance. I believe in working to achieve balance, but I think people think of balance as like this thing that they'll get to, this place that they'll be, this person that they'll be when they are finally who they're, they reach a goal or a place or an amount of money that they're earning, and that's just not true. You're always pulling from one end to give to another, and so it's really an act of balancing, not balance, right? So, for me, it starts and ends really with mindset. It's just the beginning and end to all of your achievements. Somebody gave me a really wonderful thing to live by a long time ago. It's live, L, love, intention, I, V, vision, and E, embodiment. And, really, you have to create a relationship with yourself. You have to love yourself and allow yourself to achieve at a high level first before you can start achieving at that high level. You have to love yourself through it. And you have to create the intention. You have to know what you want more than just your why, or, more than just what you're trying to achieve. You have to know why, because that's going to get you through your hardest moments. So, these are such important pieces of that mindset that you're building as you're trying to manage your time and balance all of these different aspects. V for vision, you really have to see that you deserve to achieve your goals. I think that is a big roadblock for a lot of women, a lot of moms, and that's a moving process. As you move through different stages of your life, I feel like your vision of who you are and who you deserve to be and the life that you deserve to have, sometimes you can put limiting beliefs on those. So I think it's important to keep revisiting that. And embodiment is really just the tangible form of your vision, right? So it's more than just knowing that you can certainly achieve your goals. It's knowing that you are getting there, and that getting there is a matter of just creating a roadmap and then going and following it. Something that we were talking about before is like, with mindset, people have these big dreams, these big goals, and that's amazing. But part of mindset is also identifying that once you create the vision and the goal, you also have to have a roadmap that you're constantly reevaluating and having a purpose behind. Because, when it comes to business, especially, a lot of us know somewhere we want to get, we name that place. We don't really get into the deep specifics of how we're going to arrive. So like we were talking about, when you are taking a road trip, you don't just say, I'm going to go to the Grand Canyon and then just get in the car and start driving. You're like, when am I going? Who's coming with me? How am I getting there? So when it comes to business, I feel like a lot of people stop right there. They answer those questions for themselves, and then that's it. But if you really want to make the most of your journey and you really want to arrive in the fastest, most fulfilled way, you really have to get down into the specifics. So past the mindset, you really got to set clear and specific goals, and past, where, when, who am I going with? You have to think, okay, what day and time am I leaving? Which car am I driving? Does it have gas? Who's coming with me? I'm picking up my mother along the way. What time is she coming with me? So there are all these things that we do as we're creating our business, but we oftentimes stop just short of all of the answers we need to give ourselves to create an appropriate roadmap of really getting to your goals. So for me, that's super important.
I love that, Melissa. And I think, one of the things we talked about when we were on a prep call was that you actually set 3 to 5 goals, not just for your business, but for each part of your life, for motherhood, for your relationships, and for what you called soul care or self-care. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm a real estate agent. That's been, my thing for 19 years. I'm a broker. I run a team. But, like you said, I'm very multi-passionate. I'm the founder of the Mompreneur Meetup, and I like to have fun. I like to get with my friends. I like to get out, travel, nature, all the things. So, I always say, show me your calendar and I'll show you how successful you are. And for me, that was more than just business. I wanted to be successful in all the different buckets of my life. So I worked to identify the 5 areas that would make me personally feel fulfilled. And it was business, motherhood, relationship health, soul care or self-care, as a lot of people refer to it as, and then connection. So all the time. And it's not even just like at the beginning of the year, at the new year, it's not even at the beginning of a quarter, but it's constantly. I'm constantly creating and reevaluating my 3 top goals that I'm trying to achieve in all 3 of those areas, and then refocusing my schedule and my calendar to reflect that I'm actually working towards those goals by setting specific and actionable things that are going to help me achieve those. So
I love that.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
When it comes to business strategy, from gaining clarity around ideas that I'm trying to create, from educating myself, working on making my schedule more efficient and achieving my real estate business at a high level, learning more marketing, executing the things that I set out to do, all of those things fall into my business bucket, right? But motherhood is also a huge part of me. I mean, if I'm letting myself down in the motherhood sector, does any of it else matter? These are all very important pieces. So, in my motherhood sector, I'm trying to figure out how to nurture my family mentally, emotionally, physically, making sure our family's goals are moving towards where I see my life.
Yeah.
And then, relationship health. I mean, when the relationships and the people we love and care about most are running on empty, that's when we're feeling isolated, alone, our business starts to fail because of it. There's so many things. So cultivating that I found to be just crucial. These were all non-negotiables for me. So, and then soul care, meditation, fitness, sleep. I mean, all of these things, I set goals literally around sleep. I haven't been sleeping lately. I haven't been on my Peloton, as we were talking about earlier.
Sorry, go ahead, Melissa.
One more. The other sector that I really like to focus on too is connection. And people are always like, what is that? And for me, I'm my happiest when I'm connecting with others and trying to find a place where people connect and collaborate and support each other. So that's why I created Mompreneur Meetup, and that's why I'm involved in Woman Up. It's just fills another bucket that I just have to have in my life to really fulfill me personally. So
I love all that because so there's so much I love about that. You stay focused by having the right mindset, by reevaluating your purpose, and by setting clear and specific goals. And I want to get to that in 1 second. But the other thing that I love is how you don't, it's so typical for us to just take business strategy and say, these are going to be my business goals. And then we forget, we just let everything else sort of happen as it may, right?
Right.
But I love you take this holistic approach to your life and setting goals and plans for your life. And we talked about your calendar, okay, so if you have goals around these 5 areas of your life, your calendar reflects that. So can you talk to us about what are how do you actually get from these are my goals and then this is my task list for today? How do you get from here to make it come alive every single day? What are the tools you use?
So, it's really simple as far as the idea of it. And we've all heard of SMART goals, right? So I just took that concept of SMART goals, which, like you said, a lot of people only apply to business, and they fill their entire calendar up with their SMART goals, right? All the way down to actionable steps. But I wanted so much more. So I'm not even kidding. Yesterday, I had a conversation with my brother, and he was you've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about all these things. So cultivating my relationship with my brother is an action item that I put in my calendar for the week. I'm literally calendaring in to my daily schedule all of the things across all 5 of these areas. So I'm happy to share. I actually have like a Google Doc that I use for myself where I take my 3 top things that I'm trying to achieve in all of those areas. And then I list, okay, relationships with my family. Okay, who in my family do I really need to touch base with right now, in the next 6 weeks? And then I, focus like, okay, what do we need to feel like our relationships are going to be fulfilled? Well, I need to hang out with them once a week. I need to call them, every other day. I need to do these things. And then I take those items and I work them into my calendar. So awesome. More than just your business, you got to do it for everything that matters to you.
Awesome. And I think a lot of people are already saying, yes, I would love if you would share your document. Please. Thank you so much.
I'll connect my Instagram and my Facebook here, and you guys, I'm happy to DM this to you. It's simple, but it's not easy. But I promise you, you will feel like you are on your way to chasing the balance.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Oh my God. Okay, Cherika. So here's one of the things when Cherika and I were chatting a couple of weeks ago, I apologize for that construction. Can you guys hear it now? Oh my God. This is life, right? This is how we adjust. We just kind of go with it. So Cherika said to me, I became an agent and I became a broker against all odds. People told me that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And no one's going to tell me no. You tell me no, that gives me every bit of motivation to do what I am dreaming of doing. So Cherika is a go-getter. She's a driver. She's a mom of 3 boys. And she's just a really cool woman. And I would love, Cherika, if you would just kind of describe your brokerage first.
I am, we have a small brokerage in East Texas, Northeast Texas. It's 8 of us. It's myself and 7 agents. I've been in business on my own. This is going to be my 5th year as a brokerage. I started out just as an office of 1, just me by myself, and I was fine with that. But as others wanted to join me, I couldn't say no. So started out as 1, and now I have 8, and hopefully we'll add a couple more, hopefully this year, maybe.
I'm on mute. Sorry. I'm trying to save you the construction. So you're in an interesting market. And I would love for you to share with us your sort of philosophy from your perspective on diversity, inclusion, and just general social awareness in your business and in your market.
Like I mentioned, I'm in Northeast Texas. We are still in the South. So diversity, of course, is a huge deal for me because I'm one of few African-American brokerages, especially African-American women brokers in my area. And so it is hard to attract agents that don't just look like me. I don't want my brokerage to be just a brokerage of agents who look like me. So I want them to know that I'm open for anyone to join, no matter what you look like. So, but in my area, that sometimes is a challenge. But what I tell myself is I can't dwell on something that I can't change. My goal is to be the energy that I want to attract. So that means that I do have to be visual to people in my market as well as outside my market. To my agents, let people see who we are so that they can see our vibe, because our vibe and our energy will be what overcomes the stupidity of the area. And not everybody feels the same way that a lot of people in the area feel. So if we want to be diverse, we have to show them who we are. We have to not only be professional, but we can be fun and still be classy. And again, do all the things that we need to do to make people see our energy, to bring them to us so that we can overcome that barrier naturally, not forced, but naturally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I mean, and the other thing you mentioned to me the other day, which I thought was really important and kind of goes along with what Melissa was saying, is, be purposeful in everything you do and having the right mindset. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because as a leader of your organization, your agents come up against these issues, in the market every single day. And so how do you help them get over those obstacles?
Well, you have to turn it around. You have to take what is perceived as negativity, and we have to somehow get that power back out of that negativity. If they don't want to work with us, because of what we look like, we can't turn around and go, well, we can't have a defeated attitude. We have to turn around and change that with ourselves. I mean, we can't dwell on something we can't control. We can't control what we look like. So we have to, in turn, just try to find the power in whatever it is that they're making negative. So that's another reason why I said, we need to get out there and network. We need to be intentional. I changed it to purposefully engaged, to where, again, we're trying to draw people to us to kind of kill some of that stigma that uneducated people may have about people that don't look like them. But again, we celebrate what we look like. We celebrate, our melanin, we can't change it. So why dwell on it? Why make it push us out of the business that we want to be in? So sometimes you do have to control the thermostat in the room. Like, if it's cold, that to try to figure out how to warm it up, and that's within, that's with you. And you can quickly tell who's not open to your warmness, your vibe, and you go in another direction, because not everybody in that room is going to feel a certain way. And I mean, when I told you about when I went to Woman Up for the first time in 2018, of course, I'm used to being in situations and conditions where I'm in the back of the room because the people won't warm up to me. You can tell because they quickly put up that wall, and it kind of keeps you away. So I went into the Woman Up in San Diego with that mindset of, here we go. But I was quickly proven wrong when immediately I was welcomed before I even made it inside where we were having the presentation. This was out at breakfast. I was looking for that spot in the room in the back because that's what I'm used to in my area. And they were like, oh no, come have a seat. Who are you? This is who we are. And that was so different and so welcome. And to me, just the whole environment, because it was so different from where I was. I mean, that it kind of, of course, outside your comfort zone is where the magic happened. I was outside my comfort zone and all this magical stuff was happening. So I brought all that back to my agents, and I'm explaining to them, if we want to be accepted, we got to be out there to be seen. We got to be visual. We can't be stuck behind doors, because, we'll never break that glass ceiling. We'll never break down those walls that people build up, but it's a way you do it. You again, don't force it. You let them see who you are. And of course, I think I do a good job of screening, my agents that come in, and I feel like not only I attract the energy, that I want to work with, I feel like I do a good job of screening the agents who will carry on the mission that I want for my company, so that when we go out in public, people see us and they go, well, that's a team that I may want to work with, or I may want to do business with.
Yeah. Oh my God, Cherika, I love it. And you have just such a beautiful blended way of just a blend of confidence and kindness about you. So it's, yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's a hard blend to find, I think, with people. Your guard is down, you're approachable, you're accessible. I can feel that energy from you, and yet you're strong. And that's just it's really a beautiful thing. And I love this quote that you just said, outside your comfort zone is where the magic happens. And that just gives me chills. It's like, isn't that just, it just says everything. It's like, step outside your comfort zone, and you're leading by example in that way. And you are doing some fun video with your people. I have been watching you, and I am definitely feeling your vibe out there for sure.
That's our goal. That is our goal.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Deborah, if you want to come back, I think, unless you all have anything else you want to add, I think we're good.
Hi. Oh my goodness. That was so good. So I would love to just ask a couple quick questions around the Zoom room before we go. And I know that when we talked about this topic, there were some tools that all of you, some like apps or websites and things. I would love for us to go walk around the room and share maybe 1, 2, even 3, if you can't just do 2 of the best tools that you have found for helping in your business planning process. So, Melissa, why don't we start with you? Because I know you have a long laundry list.
I do. I have a lot of tools for sure. I ended up creating kind of one myself. I use a passion planner, but I ended up creating like a more deep calendar. So again, I'm happy to send that out, and I'll forward it over to you, Deb. That incorporates all the 5 little different buckets that I was talking about. But on a daily basis, I use Calendly. And Calendly is for people can stick themselves in your schedule. I use WhatsApp to connect with all of my agents, minus like 1,000 notifications all the time. I deeply use notes just in my phone all the time. I use Trello, which is a really great place to kind of like do like digital sticky notes almost and assign them to assistants or just assign them to me at a later time. But I think that for me, the best tool that I have is the people in my life and searching out support where I need it. So yeah.
I love that, of course. Okay, how about you, Kate? Do you have any specific tools or resources that you consistently share, that you lean on throughout the year?
I do. Mine's not as fun, but I really do think from a business perspective, in terms of planning, you really need to be organized. I take each initiative that I'm focusing on for the upcoming year. It has its own document. I have a sheet that says, what are my goals for this project? Who is involved on this project? Similar to what Melissa does with her SMART goals. But then quarterly going back and looking to ensure you're on track with that. So I said by Q2, I'd have this delivered to the membership. It's March, and end of March. Where am I with that? What needs to happen in the next 3 months to make sure that we meet that? So mine is a little bit more boring. But then for personal, just my planner and my Outlook calendars, and just making sure I'm keeping on top of everything that needs to get done. But I'm going to incorporate some of Melissa's goals in my personal life.
I love that. I think that you're speaking the language of many in our community when you're talking about basically a work back schedule, right? Mm-hmm. This is when I want it to launch into the world, whether it is a new program internally in your organization, or it also could be, a book that you've got on your heart to launch, or a blog you want to launch, like Christine launched when she was inspired, right? So having an idea of when you want something to be born into this world, and then setting your goals, stepping backwards. For those of you who are thinking, like, I don't want to learn a new app, honestly, Excel is great for what Kate's talking about. You can easily plug in something that you want to accomplish each month towards that goal, and start simple. There are some amazing tools. And for those of you who are asking, like, how do you spell that? What's the link? Don't worry. We gotcha. We have all of these tools written down in the show notes, and there will be links to each one of them in the show notes. So never fear. We have your back on that. So
And
I think that's so much fun, Kate, that that you're going to sprinkle in some of the new SASE tools, but it's so important for us to all remember that it's a yes and, right? We need the basics. We need the spreadsheets that keep us on task. Thank God for those of us out there who have people in our lives who know how to use spreadsheets. If you don't, LinkedIn actually has been sharing some really interesting training on a variety of business tools, but you can even just go to Google and just search spreadsheet training. You can make them the color of the rainbow to make them more exciting and fun. Okay, Cherika, how about...
Deborah, can I add one more thing
Sure,
too?
of course, always.
I just want to share with everybody that was kind of fun. So we do our business planning in September for the upcoming year. I subscribed to Masterclass. I don't know how many of you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually listen to business leaders in different arenas to get inspiration for our business plan. So that's another thing that last year I started, and it's been really powerful to hear how other industries run, and it's given me a lot of ideas for our space too.
That is such a great bit of advice. My husband and I actually bought the 2-for-1 masterclasses for each other for Christmas. And it's so funny. Like we've been taking all sorts of different ones. Like I've taken the one by the gal who does Bart Simpson's voice on voiceover work, because I really, really want to do Audible books. I want to read books for authors. I want to do a kids show with a cartoon voice. Like I have all these fun, just passion projects that I want to work on. So I've taken that, and I did take RuPaul's. And if any of you have masterclass, RuPaul's class is so great. And the line that stuck out right from the beginning was, "We are all born naked. Everything else is drag." And it shifted how I look at fashion in that moment. Like it just shifted it. It's like everything we put on, it doesn't have to be as dramatic and fabulous as RuPaul's drag queen style, but it helps us, I think, even look at dressing from the waist up in the time of the pandemic. So I highly recommend that one as well. All right, Cherika, what do you got for us? What kind of tools, resources, websites, podcasts, blogs, books, whatever?
Well, y'all said some great ones. Somebody is trying to get me to do Clubhouse. I know that's something that I'm probably going to eventually go to. I have to have a great CRM because the one I use, it keeps me focused, tells me what I need to do for the day, keeps me organized to where I'm reaching out to my clients, several times a year. So I have to use my CRM, and I'm trying to get my agents to jump on board with that as well. But again, that's all fun stuff. You can't make it in this business without wine. I mean, that you said, I mean, just being honest, the wine helps me through those hard days.
Oh, God, I love that.
So I gave you the real ones, but then I gave you the real one.
I love that. I know that there will be questions in the chat and in the replay about the CRM that you use. And we hear this question a lot, like what CRM should I use? And the best answer to that is the one that you'll
use. Right.
And so we've had some really great conversations on the group about that. How long have you been using your CRM? And if you want to share what it is, great. If you don't, there's no pressure.
Well, I know there's others out there, but because I've been using Top Producer for years, like I think we've had a 10-year relationship. So you know how it's hard to learn something else. You got to unpack all that stuff into something else. So I'm just like a stickler of habit. So I love Top Producer because it is one that's user-friendly to me and one that I'm going to use, because you're right. It does no good to have one if you're not going to use it.
Well, so and I believe that there's an entire community of Top Producer users in the in the Woman Up community. So that's also a great topic to add to your mentorship card. So if you're a mentor in the mentor community, or you're a mentee and you want to talk about CRMs, if you specifically want to talk about that CRM, great. There's a lot of folks from the realtor.com community. They are a consistent sponsor as well, and they are related to Top Producer. That was not planned. But shout out to them for their love and support over the years, specifically Marcy. And we all love that you connected women and wine. That it seems to be, we start with water, we end with wine. I think that's a beautiful way to bring it home, Cherika. Okay, Christine, you have been such a divine moderator and connector of the dots in this conversation. And you are an expert on this topic. This is something that is so incredibly close to your heart. You do this for your people. You do this all year long with your agents. So I don't want to say, just share a couple tools. How about, what is your wisdom that you want to share with the community, and then put a cherry on top with a couple tools?
I think, putting a plan in place, goals and strategies and tactics that follow that is critical at the end of the day, because you're never, ever going to be able to grow without it. It is your guidance. And it's going to change, and that's completely fine. And maybe a pandemic will happen and you'll have to refocus, and that's okay too. But you need to know where you want to go. You need to know where you want to go. So having goals and a plan around that is really important. And then being flexible is also really important. And then the biggest thing, I think, especially for agents, is all of us need it, but my agents in particular really do well when there's accountability around it. So if you can find somebody, whether you're a broker owner or a leader in your organization or an agent, find somebody who will be your accountability partner, who's going to keep you accountable to doing what you said you were going to do. I think that's really important. The tools that I personally use, buffer.com, which is a social media scheduler. I use that for my blog. It's critical because it allows you to schedule your entire week or month's worth of social media in one place at one time. I agree with Cherika. Having a CRM is really, really critical. At our brokerage, we use HubSpot, and I personally love HubSpot because it's both a CRM as well as a marketing and blogging tool. So we love it. And for our agents, we provide MoxieWorks as a CRM, which is also a really wonderful tool. Personally,
shout out to Georgia.
I know, Georgia, I'm thinking of you. And then Evernote. Evernote is my Bible. That is where I take notes. That's where I organize my thoughts. That's where I personally put my goals. That's where I flushed things out. So it's a huge tool to be able to, to write goals, take notes, write your blogs, whatever it might be. Yes. So those are a few that I use. Yeah.
I love that. Well, and Evernote is a great option for those of you who don't dig Google, right?
Yeah.
It's because you can collaborate on the documents. It's a digital brain. So it is in the cloud. And so for those of you who are trying to switch off of Google or whatever your reasons for not wanting to be there, Evernote is so incredible for that. It's also a great way to share your notes with someone without filling out another email with exactly what you just wrote. And so it's an efficient tool, which of course I love. I love when efficiency and effectiveness meet. Let's see. MoxieWorks, awesome. HubSpot, buffer.com. Was there another one? I feel like I kind of got lost in listening to your voice. Was there?
No, Buffer, HubSpot, Moxie, Evernote. Yeah.
Okay,
and I
perfect.
use To Do for a task list, but
awesome.
I don't know that I'd necessarily recommend it. It's okay.
well, to what Cherika was saying earlier, right? Sometimes we get stuck using a tool. So maybe if the community has a to-do task list that they love, let's share it with Christine. Oh, goodness. Ladies, lionesses, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. I know that almost every single one of the questions is around how do I get that? Where do I download it? So everything that we've shared today, all of you know that we will definitely have all of these resources that these leaders have shared with us today. We'll have them at your fingertips, a click away. The replays are usually up within a week. We do try to cut out the front and the end to make it super streamlined for all of you as you're listening to the replay. And of course, we want to get the notes together for you. So because you are here with us live and you registered, you'll get it first. That's a bonus. So please check your inbox in the next 7 days for that. And before we end, I would also love for each of you to share the best way, the number one way everyone can get in touch with you. So, Melissa, what is, I know what it's going to be. What's the number one way to get in touch with you, Melissa?
Instagram.
And I want to give a shout out there too. If you are confused, if you are scared if you have been running the opposite direction from Instagram stories, reels, IGTV, any of the things that are related to Instagram, Melissa is your go-to gal.
Thank you.
Follow her, pay attention to how she uses it. And this woman is so gracious with her time and helping people understand how to use the tool. So if you do have real questions for her, if you really want to step out there into that space, please connect with her at Mel Knows. Like
100%. I will share all the knowledge.
Because Mel knows. I love it. Cherika, how about you? What's the best way?
Well, my husband says it's Facebook, so I'm going to go with Facebook.
I love it. Facebook. Excellent. Kate, how about you? Best place?
Email, just kreisinger@leadingre.com.
Perfect. And Christine, best place?
Probably Facebook.
All right. And again, we will make sure all of their ways to connect are in the show notes as well. But if you want to reach out to them right now, you know how to do that. For those of you who are on the Facebook group with us, all of these gals are there. They are tagged in the post. So it's easy to just click their name and get connected through direct message. Same on Instagram. Mel is tagged in all of our posts and promotions around the event. So you can grab connection with her and her account there quickly. Wow. There are some resources that I want to make sure everybody knows to follow. Of course, the group is definitely one of them. The Woman Up on Instagram is another, but also make sure you're on IamWomanUp.com and you have the /wisdom series bookmarked on your computers, because as we update each one, when we have a new wisdom series coming up, that's the place to register for it. That's the website is where the replays are for Q4. I know that there was a lot of conversation today on goals and some really fun ways to look at those inside your business plan. We did an entire session on defining and refining goals. So that's on the replay page. So make sure that you're visiting the IamWomanUp.com website. If you haven't already, make sure that you're signed up on the mail list, because all of these events are shared via email. So if you are not on Facebook, that is the second best place to keep in touch with this community. With that, thank you all for joining us. For those of you who are here watching the replay, make sure that you do leave your comments and ask your questions in either the blog notes or the comments over on YouTube, and we will get you connected with these amazing leaders. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye. Thanks, Deborah.
Bye.
Thank you.